You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
It's kind of like a Brat Pack movie if they were all shot in the end. Jamie?
Yep.
Let's go watch Red Dawn.
Hello to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We are an 80s movie podcast, so we get together about every 2 weeks a month, and we talk about a movie from the 80s.
Every 2 weeks a month.
2 weeks a month. That's 14 days. Anyway, I am one half of this podcasting team. I am Jamie Lorello. The other half is DP McCambridge. And this is what we do. We pick movies from the 1980s. There's a plethora of them. There's plenty of them. And we watch them, and then we have in-depth discussions on them. Well, sometimes these movies are silly and fun, and sometimes they're poignant.
Yep, and sometimes they're neither of those.
Sometimes this one is not titular. Do they ever mention a Red Dawn? Well, I guess the
nobody
dawn
ever says the word red or the words Red Dawn together.
No, huh?
And I guess Red Dawn, does it just mean
like the dawn of the day was red with the blood of the Russians?
Well, I mean that, or I was thinking how communists are referred to as Reds.
Yeah,
like it's a. And I guess they parachute in the morning. I mean,
school
and did just start.
Yeah. How crazy was that? What an intense way to start. So
And as I was saying before we started, like this movie begins immediately.
Yeah, there's no getting to know our characters on the farm, or you know.
Right. I think we'll get into it. I'm sure we will, but I think possibly to the detriment of this movie, it starts way too quickly. I really didn't. My biggest issue, and we'll just spoil it right now, is I did not have much of a connection to most of these characters.
You wanted more of a connection.
You
didn't connect when those girls came out of the floor? From that weird old man's house that nobody knows who he was, but he was a big point of contact?
Other than Patrick Swayze and maybe the girls, although they kind of just blended together. I don't know. The rest of them, especially those three dudes who aren't names. Like
the one that cries all the time, the mayor's kid? Is that the same kid? And then there's the...
Well, I don't know. There's a lot of crying in this. If you want to watch Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen try to cry on cue, watch this movie because that's all it is.
So deep. It's such a... Wow. Now, you don't have a brother. Did you watch this movie and think this is what brother love is about?
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I was thinking.
Okay.
I mean, you have a sister. Is it very much the same?
Yeah, I think we would... Are they sisters? Oh, yeah, they are sisters.
No. I don't know if they're... Oh, yeah, I guess they are. Right. Sorry, I was referring to the brotherly relationship, but just transferred to sisters.
I see.
She didn't seem to... Leah Thompson didn't seem too broken up after... the incident, let's say.
No, she didn't.
I mean, she was broken up after the incident, let's call it the rape that we didn't see, but we hear about.
Oh, yes.
She was kind of cagey, like at the beginning.
You think?
Like when they get her, she was, yes.
Yeah, she was a little bit touch and go. Then she falls in love with the pilot guy.
Oh, my God, is that relationship problematic? 50-year-old Powers Booth and then 16-year-old, I guess.
And they do get a little flirty. He gets a little handsy with her there for a second.
Especially when he pulls her to the ground after their football game.
I like too that they pack the football. You know, at the world's ending, there's a war, but we might want to throw the pigskin around, so we better bring it. I
thought about that. I was like, you guys don't have enough to eat, but you brought your football. Maybe it was just in the truck or whatever they.
No, I saw them like pack it.
Oh, like literally pack it at that gas station?
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So Anyway, our movie is Red Dawn. Mm-hmm. We already did discuss the title. It's from 1984, directed by John Milius, who's a bit of a gun nut. That guy. I mean, surprise, surprise.
Right.
And in my research, I found out that the John Goodman character in
Big Lebowski, yes.
Oh, yeah. His character was based on the guy who directed this movie.
Oh.
So he probably does like read Soldier of Fortune magazine and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Well, thanks for helping me out there with the Big Lebowski.
Hey, you were doing all kinds
of gestures. A movie that everybody should know and should come to my mind.
Sometimes it slips the mind. Sometimes it slips.
It's Red Dawn, and I remember watching this movie as a kid, or I guess I watched it. Most of this movie felt familiar, but just like the settings. Like the open fields
but the
and the mountains.
of it and the story did not?
No, not really. And the end, like the nighttime city siege or whatever you would call it at the very end. That, I didn't remember that at all. But I felt like I remembered their big helicopter battle when that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess I saw it. I assumed that this movie was a movie about a Russian invasion of the United States where it is defeated by high school students. So I was a bit off.
Well,
with that. I mean, the broad strokes, yes, but I really thought that these teenagers defeated communism at the end of this movie. And that's not the yes.
No, that's not what happened. No.
Because when this came up, and I was like, well, we could do this. It's improbable and goofy, and there should be a lot to really laugh at. And then I watched it, and I went, this is
there's not no laughing matter. There's no laughing happening
There is one joke. I think there's one joke in this movie, and it's when the Russian guy says that he can speak English, and he reads the plaque, and he reads everything wrong. Like, nothing that he's saying is on there. Like, that was a genuine laugh, and at the end of the movie, I went, I think that was the only bit of comedy in the entire movie.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty heavy film. Yeah. I had never seen it. I mean, I was clearly raised on, like, Godfather movies, John Candy, and
but you had an older brother. Like, I'm surprised
that's what I was trying to
that your brother. I'll bet your brother has seen this.
I need to find out from him if he's seen it. I'd like to think that he did, but I know I had never. And I thought that it was like some kind of war movie, you know.
Well, I think it is.
I mean, it is, but I mean, I didn't realize that it was like the kids.
Oh, you didn't realize it was like high school kids. Oh, okay.
No. So as soon as it started and they're in the classroom, I was like, oh, and I have to tell you, and I don't want to give too much, I was moved throughout this film. I was like, I just kept looking over, and my husband had seen this film and enjoys it and has quoted it to me, I guess, throughout the years of our relationship, and I didn't know. And he was like, I thought you'd seen it. You always like nod when I shout Wolverine to you. And I'm like, yeah, I think
what quotes? What quotes? Wolverine? Like when you go to work, does he go, avenge me, avenge me? And you were like, that's a weird thing for him to say.
Pretty much.
Oh my
pretty
God.
much.
All right, so let's get into it. So there's lots of info at the top of this movie, and it's like Mexico's involved in a civil war.
It basically reads like the current events now. NATO is dissolved, and
I mean, it's all stuff put forth at the beginning to sort of justify why this could happen.
Yeah, South America's a mess.
Right. They never mentioned Canada. I was so surprised. Throughout this entire movie, they do mention at one point that Russians came down through Alaska.
From Canada, right.
Through Canada, but they never, even when whatever Powers Booth is there and they're like, well, who's on our side? And he's like, well, there's really nobody. There's England, but they're going to lose or something. And nobody mentions Canada. Like, I was kind of surprised by some of this.
At first, I thought they were in Canada, but they're in Colorado.
They are in Colorado. And I didn't know that until, like I said, those Russian guys go to that national park thing. And I was like, oh, where's that national park? I had to look it up. Because I don't think anybody ever said Colorado in this movie, did they?
I don't know that they do. I don't know they
You just knew. You were just like, you know what? That looks like Colorado to me.
That's Colorado.
There's Rocky Mountains. I'm just going to say Colorado on the podcast and assume I'm right. And you were totally right. At the beginning of this movie, we see older brother Patrick Swayze driving his brother. At first, we don't know who these characters are because there's like 2 or 3 of them in the truck. But his younger brother is Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, a young Charlie
very
Sheen.
young. His first role. or his first starring role. He was in little tiny bit parts, but this was the first movie where he's there the whole time. Kind of there the whole time. Midway through this movie, Charlie Sheen's relegated to the background. Like, you'll just see him standing in the background of most shots.
Yeah.
So he drives his brother and his brother's friends to school. And they're in history class learning about warfare.
Yep. Genghis Khan and his gang.
When suddenly, men parachuting. Just parachuting.
Dozens of men are just landing on the field there next to the school. And the teacher's like, well, this is not okay. This is odd. This
is strange. Let me just go outside and check this out. I like how he does. He looks outside and he goes, well, they are way off course. Like, who does he think they are?
Yeah, where are they supposed to be?
Because they're in full, like, camo get-up. And they're moving around, like,
and now they're
positions.
Just literally raining from the sky.
Yes.
They're just raining from the sky. There's, like, dozens of them just coming down.
So he goes out. The history teacher, walks outside to see what's going on.
Yeah.
And these guys open fire on him. Just blow this teacher away.
Yep, start
and
shooting.
All the kids are lined up at the windows like, whoa, check this out.
Yeah.
And then they open fire on the school.
Chaos
just
ensues.
Blasting the windows out. A couple students, you actually see a couple students are dead in this chaos.
What a way to start the movie. Like, holy crap.
I mean, they front load it with credits, so we're through the credits because we were in the clouds.
Oh, yeah. We were in the clouds for the credits, yeah.
Then Charlie Sheen and C. Thomas Howell. Oh my God. Is there anybody in this movie who has not been in other movies that we've discussed? I mean, of the main characters? Oh, I guess Powers Booth hasn't been in anything else.
No.
All right.
That's the pilot, right?
Yes. So C. Thomas Howell from Soul Man and Charlie Sheen, they're running around. They're trying to get out along with these other kids.
Yeah, there's like 3 other kids that I think are with them. There's like some kind of guy who, so they get... now they're in the parking lot of the school and they're blowing up the cars and they're trying to hide behind cars, but they're even getting in those. And of course, Swayze to the rescue in his truck is like, come on, get in the truck. Here we go. They start to drive off and there's some kid in their group that is Latin or Mexican because he's like, Papi, Papa.
What was that?
Like he's... Like you said, we don't get a lot of background on these people, these guys beforehand. Right. So we meet their families sort of throughout. And he's the first one who we see lose his father.
Right, because they're driving down the street of this town, which the town has already been taken over. Like there's barbed wire all over the place. And you're right, he sees, there's just this guy running down the street screaming in Spanish. And I'm like, what's happening? But I guess that is that kid's father. The first of the fathers. The mothers in this movie, fuck them. We don't care about them at all.
Yeah,
it's just about boys and their fathers. He sees his dad. I don't think his dad gets shot, right? They just leave.
No, they just, And they kidnap him. They take his dad. And they can't save his dad. The dad's like running after the car like for help. And they don't save him because they got to keep going. There's no...
So they go to... a gas station. Like, they're all freaked out. These kids are freaked out.
Yeah. Well, how do you not get freaked out? One minute you're at school, next minute...
They've seen their teachers and classmates die. No, I get it. I'm not saying this is unjustified fear.
Yeah.
They go to this gas station, and the one kid, I guess it's C. Thomas Howell's father, right?
Yeah, I think his dad is the gas
very
station
old
owner.
Father. This guy
much
is
older father,
old.
Yeah.
So he comes out, and the dads in this movie, for the most part, they must be like borderline preppers because none of the dads are surprised by any of this. Like, C. Thomas Howell explains to his dad what's happening. He's like, all right, kids, well, we've been preparing for this. Go inside. There's a lot of supplies in there. Grab the guns, take the arrows.
Is this like based off, like, because in the 80s in the Cold War, and we thought that the Russians really could come and do this to us? So maybe, and these dads are like, kind of Vietnam dads, and so they are like ready for war in a sense.
I guess also the fact that all the stuff that we were supposed to read at the beginning of this, maybe tensions are mounting in this dystopian future, so maybe that's why it's not a huge surprise. I was surprised there wasn't more talk of like nuclear war or anything like that. Like, that was the big thing about the Cold War was Russia has all these nukes, but they don't really talk much about that. They talk later on about they bombed Washington and Omaha, Nebraska, and Kansas City. That was it. Just the big metropolises. I'm sure Chicago's okay. LA seems to be fine.
LA?
New York's
no problem.
Right. But I think that's the thing about this movie is I guess the Russians sort of cut the country in half. Like that's what they did. They're just in the heartland here, which I'm not saying it's a bad way to win a war, but I don't know what they're really trying to do. So this old guy's like, take all this stuff. Great, boys. Get out of here. And I'm like, well, why doesn't he go with them?
Well, he tells them, don't come back.
Right.
I'll come for you. You just keep going. He wants them. He'd rather they be safe. And I guess, so we do get a little.
I like how C. Thomas Howell says to the old guy, because the old guy's like, who is it? And C. Thomas Howell's like, I don't know. They were speaking Spanish. And I was like, no, that was your friend in the truck talking to his dad.
No, but some of them.
Yeah, later we find out that there's Cubans and there's Nicaraguans
Cubans and the Russians
or something.
Are working together. Yeah, Nicaraguans, what's happening? But you're right, it was his Spanish-speaking friend that was shouting to his poppy.
So they're trying to leave. Like there's a road that gets them out of town, but they see that the road's blocked.
Heads to the mountains.
And,
they start to go, and then
there's like tanks, and this is where we really see heavy artillery. Mm-hmm. So they go off road, and they finally do make it into the mountains, and that's where they're going to hold up. Yes. Like that's it. We're going to stay here, and there's 6 of them. Would you care to go through these characters? We already talked about a few of them, but would you care to sift through the 3 that I get very confused?
There's the Mexican, there's the mayor's kid, and I get confused. Is the mayor's kid and the sad kid? Because there's one kid that now they have just escaped what is war, basically. Like people are getting killed and there's armies taking over, and the one kid is just so sad because he didn't grab enough food, and what are they going to do? And they should go back to town for more food. And Swayze's like, we can't go back into town. They're killing everybody in town. What's wrong with you? We are here, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to eat deer's blood, and we're going to be okay.
But I do like Swayze's reaction when they do take out all the food, and he's like, beans? Rice Krispie treats? What the hell what is all this? Like, what? This is what we grabbed when we were at that. This is all we have to live off of.
Cans of tomato soup. So if a skunk comes, they'll be okay.
Yeah, so there's Charlie Sheen and Patrick Swayze are brothers. C. Thomas Howell, as we said, he's the son of the gas station guy. And he's kind of a big scaredy wimp at the beginning of this. His character turn is crazy, but we'll get there.
Yeah, he does.
And then, as you said, there's the mayor's son, who also happens to be class president. He has a big wall of hair, like he has a big head of hair. And then there's the Spanish-speaking kid. He's young. At one point, they ask him how old he is, and he's 15. And then I guess who you're referring to as the sad kid? Is the sad kid the one who goes off with Leah Thompson at the end?
Yes.
Okay, all right. All right, we'll just refer to him as the sad kid. Because he is kind of sad. He is kind of mopey. He kind of never wants to do anything. He never wants to really hurt anyone.
Right.
He never wants to, never wants to fight because they all end up doing that. So,
but he's reluctant.
So that's it. Like there's 6 of them. And they're all like, this movie takes place fall to winter in Colorado. So they're always bundled up.
Oh, yeah.
They
all have matching jackets, but I think that's because they get their jackets from...
I love the matching jackets. I love the fact that Charlie Sheen and C. Thomas Howell are wearing the same jacket through the entire movie.
But is that because did they get their gear from the gas station? Is that what happened?
Yeah, because I think Patrick Swayze yells, get some of those down jackets.
Yeah.
But these guys there's 6 of them, and they're all, like I said, bundled up.
Right.
They're all white, and they all have dark hair. Like, it was so tough in certain situations to really know who was who.
Yeah. Patrick Swayze stood out because he was the tallest.
He was the tallest and clearly the oldest. Like, he was 20 years older than everybody else.
He was a football star of his high school. Right?
Yeah, it's one of those movies where our main protagonist has to be like a high school football star.
Yeah.
I am surprised there wasn't a scene in this movie where he like had to football throw a grenade into a tank or something, but that doesn't happen.
No, but he's got a lot of great leadership skills.
Oh, when they're up here, when they finally get up into the mountains, they do have this conversation about, like, what are we doing? What's going on? Because I did kind of like that about this movie to a degree, is that they don't know what's happening throughout the entire movie. Like, they don't know what's happening in the town, and they don't know what's happening nationally. They don't know what's happening globally.
No.
So I love it when the mayor's son goes, as student body president, I say we give ourselves up.
Yeah.
And Swayze is not having any of it.
No. He's like, nope, that's not the plan. He's against even going into town again. But slowly they convince him that going into town, they need to check on, I think it's the sad boy that's like, what about my family? How could we be here and your family doesn't know where you are? And Swayze's like, your family is dead. Right. They're not even around anymore. So, and if your family were here, they'd want you to take care of yourself.
They'd want you to be fine. Yes. I do have a lot of problems with when they go into town because, like, why are you going into town?
Yeah, like, what are you guys doing? And how did you guys get into town and then get out? Because I didn't think many people could. And they just stroll on in.
They just stroll on in, and the lady that they talk to is like, hey, they're looking for you. And I'm like, the people that are standing around you, they're the ones looking for you? They're doing a terrible job of it.
Yeah. They go to town and they see... Well, let's see. Wait, let me see. Did we miss anything?
The only thing we missed is that the two brothers say, like, oh, our terrible father. They don't say terrible father, but he's a terrible father. Used to bring us up here, and he taught us how to hunt and taught us how to fish.
So they could live off the land if they needed to.
I love their, this is a terrible way to put it, I love their costumes. When they put, like, sticks and stuff into their jackets.
Yeah, when they're doing their...
Multiple times they do this. But we do see them shoot a deer.
Shoot the deer.
See Thomas Howell shoots deer.
Well, and there's good... And again, Swayze gives great advice. You only shoot one time. Don't shoot two, because then they can track you.
Right.
And they're like in their weird camouflage outfits. And C. Thomas shoots the deer. Mm-hmm. And they're all gathered around, and I guess the thing to do when you're a hunter... Do you hunt?
No.
Have you ever hunted?
I have never hunted. No.
Well, I guess the thing to do is drink the blood.
I don't know if that's a thing to do. Like, that's a thing they do.
It's definitely a thing they do, and he does it, and that's part of what changes him. Because the change kind of starts after he guzzles down this blood, and after he guzzles it down, he's like, that was...
Oh, he loves it. And even Charlie Sheen says, you'll never be the same again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like the idea of Harry Dean Stanton and Patrick Swayze hunting, and Harry Dean being like, you only take one shot, or they'll hear you. And he's like, who are you talking about, Dad? We're just out here hunting. But it is good advice, and he drinks that blood down.
Yeah. Like it's Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
He loves it. Yeah.
It doesn't taste that bad. So then they go into town to buy toothbrushes? Or is that just cover?
I think that's just cover. They're worried about their food rations, so they want to go...
They do walk into, like, I don't know, just the corner store. And Patrick Swayze goes, we'll take 6 toothbrushes. It's like, oh, I guess they are concerned about their dental hygiene.
They want to have clean teeth. When you're fighting a war, you want to have fresh breath for it, right? Changes the day, really. If you've got fresh breath, it'll just get you all ready.
You're ready to murder some Russians.
You are. And give a winning smile when you're done. The town has been, like you said, it's completely taken over.
How about the mayor's car?
By the KG... Oh, yeah, the mayor's car's been...
They just see a convertible drive by, painted, camouflage. And Charlie Sheen goes, that's the mayor's car.
Uh-huh. They did this all pretty quickly, too. Like,
yes.
No joke. They just, they were ready for this takeover.
And there's so many leaders. Like, there's so many bad guy leaders in this movie. There's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, there's one, and there's like the KGB leader, and then there's the Cuban leader. Right. And then there's the leader of the KGB
old guy.
leaders.
Yeah, the old guy. And then there's the guy who looks like Jimmy Smits, who I was like, ooh, is that Jimmy Smits?
Oh, it is Jimmy. I think it is.
Jimmy Smits. You know who it is?
Oh, you looked it up too?
Because we made this mistake before. It's the hitchhiker from Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought it was Jimmy Smits. I'm looking at the cast list going, Jimmy Smits, he's in here. He's got to be in here.
No, yeah. I thought it was who he was. Oh, it's that same, but that makes sense.
Same guy.
Ah.
Yeah, so he's what, the Cuban leader or something?
No, he's like the Cuban leader's like assistant.
Oh,
the right
yeah, the
man,
Cuban
I
leader is
think,
the guy with
the
the
Cuban
mustache, who
yeah
we'll get to it.
changes his we'll get to where he goes. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, so the lady at the cash register lady tells them they're going to look for them.
Yes.
They got to get out of here. They should be here. They kind of already know
Right.
that, but now.
But she's like specifically like they are looking for you. They know.
Yeah.
Somehow
they know
you're not
everyone's
in town.
name.
Right.
Does she tell them that where the dad
Yeah,
is?
she
'Cause
tells
they're
them
like,
that
"Where's
people
my
have been
dad?" Yeah.
taken away to a re-education
They're at the-
center, which is just a drive-in
At
movie
the
theater.
drive-in. Yeah.
And they're pumping in propaganda on the screen and also through speakers. And I swear
Right.
one of the things said, "America's a whorehouse."
Very
And this is where we
possible.
get a Harry Dean Stanton cameo that was so bizarre.
Through the fence. They get to these dads, and the boys, the two boys in particular, the brothers, Harry Dean Stanton is their dad, and they just have this very emotional conversation with their dad through the fence, right?
Do you remember when I would take you to the park and I'd put you on the swings? And Patrick Swayze is like, I remember all of it. And he's like, I know you thought I was tough on you, but I was preparing you for this day.
So intense. It's so intense. And he's telling them, don't cry. I don't want to see you cry. The boys are hysterical crying.
This is our three main characters. It's C. Thomas. And C. Thomas Howell the whole time is just like, hey, where's my dad? Hey, have you seen my dad? Hey, mister, have you seen my dad? But all three of them are crying.
The mom's dead. He tells them, your mom, she's dead.
Yeah.
And then it gets super emotional. I literally wrote like a sad face with tears pouring down in my notes because it's super emotional.
And you didn't know how much more crying was going to happen
No.
in this movie.
I'm not crying at this point. I'm just shocked at what I'm seeing,
Right.
just because it's so unexpected for me. Patrick Swayze starts crying too, and he's like, "Dad, I love you." And there's a lot of love getting thrown around, and then they have to go because they need to leave. They need to leave town right away, and that's when he starts shouting at them.
They're gone. They're gone at this point, and he's almost like, I forgot to tell you something. Avenge me. And he yells it like 3 times.
So passionately through that chain fence.
Oh my god, it's so great.
It is. It is.
And it's these 3 guys like day out on the town because they're still gone because this is when they go to that old guy's
house,
cabin.
Mr. Mason. Mm-hmm.
And that guy tells them there's an area called Free America. But he's like, well, but now you're 40 miles, I guess it is pretty far, because he says you're 40 miles behind enemy lines.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so you gotta...
Which I guess this guy's cabin is also 40 miles behind enemy lines? I don't know.
Well, and it's crazy that this guy, Mr. Mason, and his sweet little old wife...
Oh, she's adorable. She gives him like hot cocoa or something.
Well, and gets... Because is it this now when they find out about C. Thomas's dad?
Yes.
And then he gets emotional, and she comes over and hugs him, and he grabs onto her so tight when he cries onto her.
Everybody in this movie, all these kids are trying to win Academy Awards in this
with their
movie
emotional
like
range,
this.
right?
Yes.
Who is this Mr. Mason, by the way?
Oh, I don't know.
We don't know
I
at
didn't
all.
look him up.
No, but who is he to the...
I don't know. I just assumed he was some old guy they knew who lived on a ranch. Yeah.
Okay. And they knew he was a good point of contact.
He comes back again later and then just disappears. Like, we never hear... I want to know what happened to him at the end of this movie. Like, I want somebody to say, oh, he's dead, or we should go tell Mr. Mason that we won, or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he gives them some horses.
Uh-huh.
And he also...
He basically walks into a back room, opens up the floor, and is like, I have these feral girls for you, too.
They're his granddaughters.
Right, yes.
And first she's like, his wife's like, no. Yeah. We'll just,
no.
Don't give
They've been safe. Apparently Russians aren't messing with us at all. Why would you give them to these people who the Russians are hunting? Like, actively hunting. But he doesn't care. He's like, I guess they'll be safer with you guys. I don't know.
I think that's his thinking.
He's kind of wrong and kind of right. Let's say he's half right by the end of this movie.
Yeah.
But we do hear that they were raped or attempted rape by the Russians or the Cubans or something. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. Bad things happen to these girls.
Which might come up later. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm confused about something coming up pretty soon. Anyway. So now we finally have some women in this movie. It's taken a while, but we do. And horses. They use those horses up. They love those horses.
Yeah, the horses do them. They're great. They're great. They travel. They get them from place to place. They've ditched the truck apparently, but only so much gas.
There's only so much gas and so much that little kid can piss in the radiator. They do make him stick
what
in the
about
radiator
that?
earlier.
I forgot about that. Was it the sad kid or the little Mexican kid that they made?
It's the little Mexican kid.
Come on, just piss in the radiator. Yeah, that's right. And the boys are trying not to be sad while Patrick Swayze's yelling at them, "Don't cry, don't cry. Think about something else. Harness your anger." What does he tell them?
I don't know, later he tells Charlie Sheen, turn it into something else.
Yeah, turn it into something else.
Don't cry. Don't you ever cry. Don't you ever let me see you cry again in your life, I think he tells him.
Yeah, well, that's what the father tells them when he says goodbye to them. And this is when the Russians are taking photos of each other in front of
they're just touring the attractions, the sites. So this is when the Russians go up to some plaque that talks about the park or the mountain range or something, and one of the Russians is like, "Hey, you speak English, translate this for us." And he just reads nonsense. He reads, it's all about, I think he tells him it was the biggest war in American history against the American Indians and the colonies. And it's just a bunch of gibberish when all it says is how high the mountain is or something like that.
Right.
But it is kind of funny because then they all do take pictures of each other standing in front of that.
Yeah. They have a little touristy moment. But meanwhile, this crew is hiding on the rocks right underneath them.
Right underneath them.
And it's tense, and then one of the girls, I think, is who slips.
Jennifer Grey, in her puffy blue jacket, she slips and slides down this mountain, and the Russians are like, "Whoa, wait, hey, come back here!" And this is the first time these kids kill people, because there are 3 Russians. One kid shoots one in the back with an arrow, and he's like,
"Oh, because they find arrows, because the Russians are finding arrows," and that's part of it too. He's like, "Oh, this is an ancient arrow from
yes,"
and they're like, "No, that's not. It's got steel. It's made of so because they've been practicing, I guess, shooting their bow and arrows. So one guy takes it in the back with a bow and arrow, or with the bow, or the arrow, I guess."
It just hits him in the back with the bow.
Yeah,
you're down. The other guys get shot, but the one guy manages to get back to the truck that they drove up in, and he's trying to radio back. And this is when you actually see some wonderful humanity in Patrick Swayze. He knows he has to shoot him, but he can't shoot him. And in a weird, sort of the Russian guy almost looks away so he can shoot him then.
Yeah, it's deep.
Kind of touching.
And he's got to do it this is not just shooting him from afar.
Right.
This is shooting this guy right there up close when he's trying
Patrick
to call
Swayze,
for help.
He's their leader. He has to do this. He knows he has to do it, and he does.
Yeah. And he does. And they all hear the gunshot, and now they know. It's this is the first turning point of, okay, this is who we are becoming,
See, Thomas, how at this moment he does shoot one of the guys, and he tells one of the nondescript 3, he's like, that felt really good. He's kind of into it now.
Killing's kind of fun. Killing's kind of fun. Is this the part that you're talking about when Leah Thompson
This is the part that I'm talking about. Because I thought it was a weird reaction, and then I thought more about it, and I went, oh no. Is this what we're supposed to think?
I guess. So they're sitting around the fire sort of detoxing from their first battle,
Yeah.
as small as it may be. And what does he even say? He tells her to wash the dishes or something?
Right? She tells Leah Thompson to make herself useful.
Yeah.
And he hands her the dishes.
And she is not having it. She snaps at him and is like, and then Jennifer Grey's like, you just shouldn't have said that, right? You don't know. And he's like, what the hell did I do? What?
No, but here's the thing that he says, and this is what was so problematic. Perhaps I'm reading way too much into this, and perhaps this is something I'll have to cut out if it seems too, let's say, too crass.
Okay.
Because he says, what's up your ass? And that's when she freaks out. And that's when she's like, don't you ever say that. If you ever say that again, I will kill you. And then I started to think about how they were raped. And I was like, oh no, is this...
Maybe something was up.
Right. That's what I was thinking. But maybe I'm way off. But
no, I think I didn't read that far into it. I just thought she was touchy because things had happened to her and she was just emotional about it. But that particular, I think you might be right.
But they kind of make up at the end, though, so it's all good between the two of them.
She's having a rough time of it at first.
She is.
Till she meets the pilot, then she gets all ignited again. So
well,
it's fine.
but then she goes down. Her arc is a roller coaster
of
emotion.
It is. That's right. It is. Oh, what about the mayor, the shady mayor?
What is that all about?
Yeah.
So the mayor, I didn't write down his name. The mayor, he's the guy that played the newspaper guy in the. Oh, this is so lame and nerdy. He played like the newspaper guy in the Lois and Clark Superman show.
Oh, okay.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, that's how I know him.
All right.
But he's just in this one scene, right? Oh, he is there for the executions later.
Yeah. And he kind of bites his hand like,
I didn't know you were going to line them up and then shoot them. So I don't know if we're meant to think that this mayor's a big scumbag, but the mayor is talking to the Jimmy Smits lookalike and his boss.
Yeah.
And he's telling them, he's like, yeah, one of my kids is the kid in the mountain. But, he's a diplomat like me. Like, he will make a deal. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine.
Yes, he kind of does.
Scene? Let's say scene over. And
yeah.
that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Well, no, he must give them some other info about the town. Like, he's helping them take over the town in a sense. Right? Not helping them, but...
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he's trying to be as diplomatic as possible. And I understand that this movie is, like, I guess the idea is that the government isn't there for you, so you have to do this on your own. Or, there's a lot of messages that are confusing and contradictory in this. But since he's the only elected official we see, and he's kind of like, okay, whatever, just... He doesn't even say anything like, don't hurt us, or... he's just there with them. I guess he gave them their car, and that's that.
Well, I guess maybe he's not going to get hurt because of it. Maybe that was his deal. Like, don't hurt me, but I don't care what you do in my town. The next is the mass execution that happens.
And this is in retaliation. They find the bodies of those guys up on the mountain who were just there to take some pictures.
Yeah. They were just being tortured.
In retaliation, they line up a bunch of prisoners. I guess
one of them is the dad.
And the kids, of course, are watching this from a distance through binoculars.
Yeah. And they shoot him with a tank.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, it's the tank that shoots them.
Oh, I thought it was a bunch of guys lined up with guns, but there's so much shooting in this movie, I was getting confused.
No, the tank is there too, and I think it's I think it's the tank that does it. And the mayor kind of gets sick. He's like biting his fist, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm going to be sick."
Yep. Like, I'm not getting reelected next time.
No, right? Now we're back at this little camp of Wolverines. I don't think they've called themselves the Wolverines yet.
No, not yet. And the only one who does that is C. Thomas Howell. He does it like 3 times. And I could only imagine the rest of them are like, our high school mascot? Really, man? That's what you're going to yell out?
Although, no, because then when they label, they, spray,
they
tag themselves. And the Russians are like, what is a Wolverine? It is a small animal. That's French, but whatever.
All right. I like it.
You like it?
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, this is Swayze again telling everyone, don't cry, and you got to turn it into something else. Let it turn like butter. Oh, that's churn. Let it
turn like butter.
I am Patrick Swayze. P.S. How crazy. Now, this movie was obviously before Dirty Dancing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy that this was the first dance. Jennifer Grey.
What's the first dance? When she falls into his arms after being shot by a helicopter?
Well, this movie is their first, like, dance together.
It is kind of cute when she's, like, squeezing that orange and the juice keeps dripping onto his head and he doesn't seem to know where it's coming from. I thought that was kind of cute. And yeah, it's really neat to see the two of them together, but kind of, I don't know.
In such a different way.
Everyone is so caked in dirt and puffy clothing. It was, I don't know, and most of it seems to be shot from a distance. This movie's it was very cold, I thought, in that, as I said before, I didn't really connect to any character. I got characters confused. The three guys who aren't our main guys just, like, vanished for long periods of time in this movie. I don't know. I wish there was more character development or something.
Now they've decided they must have, after they've seen this execution go down, and they all know they can't be sad, they've got to turn it into something else.
Turn that frown upside down.
Well, they must decide now that they're just going to be these, like, rebels, and they're going to purposefully fight these foreigners, right? So they must do these setups, because all of a sudden Jennifer Grey is, like, on a bike by a gas station, right? She's like, and I'm like, what's happening? Did she try to get away? What's happening?
I love how they just pull a tank up to just fuel up. I actually thought that was pretty funny.
And she's like a decoy. She's just sent down there.
She is bait throughout this whole movie.
Because they send her out again when the food box drops. They're like, Tony, go get it.
Well, they also send her into town. Remember in a little bit into that store where that one guy's like, hey, bring back a friend later. I'll just be hanging out here on the corner.
And she's like, okay. Well, because Leah Thompson can't. She's too fragile, I guess, mentally.
She's got to stay back. You can't send her out. She's a mess.
They use her to kind of get these soldiers' attention or distract them.
She's got like a backpack on. And the soldiers like grab her and stuff, but she shakes loose, so all they have is her backpack, which they then put in the tank, and it explodes. Yes. And then she runs away, and instead of chasing her with a gun, they all have knives, and so they run after her with knives.
I'm scared for her.
Me too.
She's running, and I'm like, what's going on? But then those dudes, her team of Wolverines, just hanging out and ready to kill. And they do.
They just pop up out of the ground and shoot these three guys. Nice job.
Wolverine! Is this the first declaration of Wolverine? I think it is.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know when it is. Because now they stop another execution, because there's going to be another execution because of what the Wolverines are doing. But this time, the Wolverines pop out and shoot all the people who were going to shoot the townspeople.
Yes. They're strategic.
Yes. And also, this Russian/Cuban army seems somewhat inept in that these 6 teenagers can kind of do whatever they want, and these guys can't hit a single one of them. They're falling down. There must be banana peels everywhere. These teens also, I guess, as they go through and as they destroy more and more Russians and Cubans, like, I guess they're taking their weapons, because suddenly they have a bunch of grenades. And, they have heavier firepower.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I'm like, where did they get all these weapons? But I'm guessing as they take people down, they're taking their weapons
Which
too.
They never, like, got in a tank. I was waiting. There is a scene later where 2 tanks pull up, and I was ready for one tank to just point at the other one and just blow it up, and, like, Charlie Sheen pops out or something. But that's not what happens. They never have Jeeps or tanks or anything like that.
No, they don't need it. They're Wolverines.
Plus, they probably wouldn't know how to drive a tank. I could imagine that would be somewhat difficult. Oh, you think so?
I don't know. I think C. Thomas, after drinking that deer blood, can do just about anything.
He'll punch a tank until it explodes.
Yeah, exactly. Figure that shit out. Time's moving on. We're into November now, right? This all started in September.
Right, but right before November, this is where they send Jennifer Grey into... I loved it. It is called the Soviet American Friendship Center. Did you see that sign on the building that she blows up?
Sign. No.
Yeah, so she goes in, again, with a backpack, comes out without it. this Russian dude hits on her and she leaves and the whole building explodes.
Yeah, and this is when the two guys are trying to decide what to do about the Wolverines, and they're discussing, well, what is a Wolverine? It's a small animal. It's also a local sports team.
Right. Local sports team. You mean that high school? Is that the local sports team?
And what are they going to do about them? How will they defeat them? It shouldn't be that hard. And then all of a sudden the building explodes, and he's like, "Oh, really? So you think it's really going to be? We really have nothing to worry about." Yeah, their war is on for them. They are ready to which now I'm getting fired up too. It's like God. I drank deer's blood as I'm watching this. I'm like, yes, guys, yes, take back the mofo town. You are the Wolverines.
So you're right. November comes. We do get, October comes and a lot happens. And then we get into November, December, January, February. It all happens pretty quickly at this point. But it is nice to have those little markers.
Yeah, so we know.
So we're in November, and this is when Leah Thompson finds Powers Booth just sleeping. He's just sleeping, in his little parachute.
Yeah.
And she asks him what the capital of Texas is, because he's from Texas, but he's right. He says Austin, which is right. She says, no, it's Houston. And he's like, what? You've been watching too many movies. I don't know what that means. But she eventually believes him and takes him back to their camp. So they finally have an adult.
Yeah, she's suspicious of him. Are you an American? He's got an American patch on his suit there.
Right.
And he's clearly is. But they're suspicious.
But I guess you just look at Powers Booth and you're like, okay, yeah, you're American. What other name? Yeah. So she brings him back to camp. And he tells them the tales of what is happening on the outside, which is a lot of talking and kind of boring. And it's stuff we talked about earlier.
Well, he's kind of laying the land out for them, though. Because like you said, they have no idea what's happening. They just know they're in a fight with these bad guys that have taken over their town. And they know that their leader, is Swayze. And he's kind of guiding them through this.
Right.
And,
which is funny, though, because they do have a radio. That old guy at the cabin gives them a radio, which comes to nothing. They listen to the radio that night, and I like how there's almost like a Tokyo Rose on there, and she's like, the man has a funny mustache.
Yeah.
The man has a funny mustache. His pants have fallen down. I repeat, his pants have fallen down. Now here's the latest tune from... I'm like, okay, whatever. Yeah. This doesn't mean anything to them. They don't know what's going on. But
you're right. They don't use it again, really. Well, they didn't get extra batteries from the gas station.
I guess.
I don't know. Powers talks about then, too, how Europe is of no help. We don't really have any allies in it. And basically...
Europe is going to sit this one out.
Yeah, that's what he said. And basically, he's describing, modern times. Yeah. He's like, it's the two toughest kids on the block.
That's right.
Trying to prove who's tougher.
Yeah, because they even say, why did this happen? And there's no, one incident that caused this. He doesn't seem to know. He's like, I don't know. It's Russia. It's the U.S. It's the 80s. You figure it out, kids.
Yeah, it's a hot mess.
So they do... The next day they go in and they blow up some tanks or whatever. Oh, go ahead.
When he's telling them the stories around the campfire, where does Leah Thompson... Because I made note of this. While he's telling them about the real sufferings and all the killings that he's witnessed and all this, she is sitting there smoking a cigarette. Did you notice that?
I noticed that. I'm surprised I didn't write it down. I'm glad you brought it up because I was like, Leah Thompson smoking? This doesn't look right. It does not look right.
And it looks totally out of place because it's the only time. Now, these kids are under a lot of distress, a lot of tension. So I would expect every now and then you see, Swayze off to the side, having a cigarette or somebody. You know what I mean? This is the only time anyone is smoking.
Where did they get these cigarettes? Because the moment I noticed she had a cigarette, I looked over and I went, wait, Powers Booth has a cigar. How did any of this happen?
And then nobody's ever smoking again.
I like to think they're Powers Booth cigarettes, and this is when she starts to fall for him.
All right, they shared some nicotine.
That's right. She's like, I never knew how much I loved smoking until I met this man, this older man.
Okay. And maybe there's something else subliminal there. I don't know.
So the next day they descend upon another caravan of vehicles and they blow them all up. And Powers Booth is really impressed with this.
Mm-hmm.
And at night, Powers Booth notices that C. Thomas Howell is putting notches into the butt of his rifle for every person that he kills.
Yeah.
And he even says something like, that hate's gonna blow you up. And he's like, it keeps me warm. We're like, oh, okay.
He's so fucking crazy. I love it.
I see where you're going, you nut. Oh, and they're also not just carving into the butt of the rifle.
Oh, they write their names everywhere, don't they? They write their names on the sides of the rock.
Okay.
They write Wolverine. They write their names. But then again, at the very end, when they go to this monument, that's part of it. Is that right? When
right? Yeah,
Thompson,
they yeah, that rock.
When we have our wrap up at the end,
yes.
Part of it is that they
Jamie, I don't know if you did any research, and I don't want to blow your mind or anything.
Oh boy,
all that stuff was not supposed to be in this movie.
No way.
The movie was supposed to end with
the Sad Brothers,
with Patrick Swayze and Charlie Sheen.
Oh, such a sad ending. Oh, I'm glad
because I think it was supposed to be like an anti-war, like, look what happened. Everybody died for nothing. What does it matter? What does any of it mean?
War. And then, what is it good for?
Right. War. Huh. What is it good for? Because that Leah Thompson, like, voiceover at the end, I was like, what? We haven't gotten a voiceover through this entire movie, and that's how they're going to end it? So when I heard that, I was like, this seems very strange. And yeah, they just tacked that on. The studio was like, you can't end this movie like this.
This isn't how we're doing it. We need something. We need something to turn us around.
And suddenly we're in December. Oh, this is another moment of comedy. I forgot about this one.
Oh, is this when they're playing football?
No, this is when they're... Oh, maybe they already played football. Sorry. If you want to talk about that, we can.
Oh, no. They just all play football.
I mean, it's adorable because this is when Powers Booth and Leah Thompson actually, like, sit on the ground and talk to each other when he drags her down.
Yes. She wants to know all about his wife. How old was she?
Right, yeah.
What was she like?
Mm-hmm. He's like, I love her more than anything. Really? Do you still love her now?
Yeah. Do you love her now? Or are you looking at me?
Do you love her now?
Do you have another cigarette? Yeah. I want to do things to my butt.
But they're talking about their big camp thing because what they're going to do is they're going to go into the re-education camp and break all these people out.
Yes.
So Powers Booth has this board and he's got these little toy cars and stuff and he's like, you're going to lay suppression fire here. We're going to flank you from this end. Then you're going to put grazing fire down and stuff. And at the end he goes, any questions? And one person goes, yeah, what's a flank?
Yeah.
And then somebody else goes, what's grazing fire? And he just kind of like shakes his head. I thought that was pretty funny. But they just break into this camp. I mean, they make it look very easy.
Well, he's got the plan. That's why he's there, to kind of help them along.
And they have so many guns because they just pass guns out to all of these people that are locked up in this camp. Yeah. And then it's just open season on these Russians and Cubans. Everybody's just shooting them. And
now the Russians are scared.
Powers Booth blows a guy up in a jet.
Oh, yeah, he does.
You see that? The guy's like in the cockpit and he won't open the thing and he like knocks on it with a grenade and he points to it and then throws it in the back.
They do get a lot of grenades, P.S.
They use them all the time.
Yeah.
It's a big weapon in the 80s, I guess.
I guess. They blow up the whole base, though, basically. Right? That's what happened.
And this is, as you said, when they go back to Mason's for Christmas. Yes,
and he's still okay, in case you were wondering.
He's fine.
No one's found him. Mm-hmm. And he tells them how word's getting out that Swayze is the leader and is the leader of the Wolverines. And more kids want to come and join his army. They want to send him his way, and you could see Swayze's not sure how exactly to feel about this. He's like, I don't know if I want to be that guy. Like, we're doing this because we have to do it, but I don't necessarily want to lead like the nation's children in a revolt.
All right. Well, anyway, now it's January. This Christmas just happened, and this is where did they get white camouflage? Because now it's all snowy.
So they have to camouflage themselves. I don't know where they got it, but now they have to camouflage for the winter weather, right?
They're looking out on this big open space. And this is where Powers Booth and Patrick Swayze are there. And Powers Booth is even like, look at this. This is a real battlefield. Like, I guess this is sort of a war zone that they're looking at, because he even says to Patrick Swayze, like, we could go to that safe zone or Free America or whatever.
Yeah, we could go to Free America. And I think he says to him, you could wake up every day and your only thing is you have to grow old.
Yes, you could grow old. He doesn't go for it and doesn't...
Well, he's avenging his father. Don't you know?
No, I know.
Okay.
I know that. But I'm just saying, like, nobody goes for it. But I don't know if anybody else knows it's an option. Like, do those other doofy kids know that going to this Free America is an option? Because I can't imagine the scared kid is all about what they're doing.
Yeah, but when you back it up and you think... So I was listening. I'm going to get a little off topic, but kind of not. I was listening today to NPR, and they were talking about the Marines and the trainings that they have to go through, and how there's all this, like, brain injury, traumatic brain injuries they found that these Marines in training have had, even ones that haven't been to combat. And I think about, you know, people that join the Army, the Marines, and how you just kind of have to, you do because you have to do this, right?
Yes.
You don't think about your other options because this is what I'm doing. I'm doing this for the betterment of our country. I'm doing this to serve and protect. I'm doing this because it's my duty, right?
Okay.
So did these kids just feel that way? Did they just think, well, we have a leader and we just follow that leader? So the other options, we don't think about them because why would we?
No, I could see that. I just didn't know if Patrick Swayze or Powers Booth didn't pass this information along. Because especially the mayor's kid who early on, I know it was early on, was like, we should just give up. And we sort of see what happens to him later. Yeah. I'm surprised that he would stick around if given the option to go to Free America.
And then you wonder if there's a bit of a thrill behind this.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, they're doing a great job of defending themselves. And for right now,
there's
as
no
far
casualties.
as right now, no one's been, no one's gone down. It's been scary, and I guess they're hungry.
Yeah, but I really do think, I think you're right, because other than the first time when Jennifer Grey slid down a mountain, they haven't really seemed to be in any danger with any of this stuff.
They've been in very dangerous situations with the fighting and stuff. But they've come out on top.
Point. Yeah, they always seem to have the upper hand, and it never seems to be... They're rarely shot. I mean, they're killing all these guys, and the opposition's like shooting in the air and running around confused.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, good. No, you're right. Okay. NPR saves the day again.
You see?
So they're crawling. Yeah, they're crawling around in the snow, and then a tank just shows up.
Yeah.
And then
it scares them. They didn't know.
Scares them. They hide on this tiny ridge, right, almost like under the tank. It's shooting. They're freaking out. The frizzy-haired mayor's son, he's like, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna get myself up.
Yeah.
And then
they're holding him down because they're like, no.
And a second tank shows up too, right next to the other one. So they are in big trouble.
Big tank trouble.
And if you thought Powers Booth would just be sticking around through this whole movie, you were wrong. 10 minutes after he shows up, he jumps on top of one of the tanks and is like throwing grenades down it and stuff. The little kid, the Hispanic kid, jumps up on top of the tank too to help him.
Oh, yeah.
And he is the first of the Wolverines to be shot and killed. But right after he's killed, Powers Booth is then killed.
And we're sadder about his death.
Right. When they're back at the camp later and Leah Thompson's crying, you hear someone in the background say, where are we going to bury him? And I was like, what? Are they just talking about Powers Booth and not that little 15-year-old kid? But then I started to think, maybe he said them. I'll just imagine he said them.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to say he said them. We'll say that, right?
Yes, but...
Oh, she is so sad. She is so sad when... She's never going to love again,
I will never love anybody ever again, cries Leah Thompson, probably through a cigarette. I'm not sure.
Yeah. No, it's tough times. This was a sad burial, right?
One of them, I don't know who, probably
we don't know.
Patrick Swayze. Because this is like, by this point, this is Patrick Swayze's movie. Where I thought Charlie Sheen was in this, he has now faded into the background with those other three kids.
Well, there's a nice moment now between the brothers where Sheen kind of waxes poetic to Swayze and is like, there's mountains there and there's they're still there when you're sad, and the wind still blows, even though we're so sad. It doesn't know. It doesn't know how sad we are. Something like that. And I think Swayze is like, whatever. And he says, Sheen's like, what do you lean on feelings? Like, you don't have any feelings? You can't even be sad about this? And Swayze kind of can't. Like, he's turned it off. Yep. He hasn't just drank deer's blood. He drank his father's tears. And he was like, I can't. Right. I can cry no more. I can feel no more. All I can do is lead you into the killings.
Now we're into February, and this is the first month that then we start with the bad guy.
Yes.
Because now we have a lengthy evil presentation that takes place.
Mm-hmm. And it's very animal related. Mm-hmm. They need to become the fox so that they can kill the Wolverine.
Yeah, it's a whole stupid thing, and it's like it's a new character who we've never seen before.
Oh yeah, this other guy.
And it seems like this guy has been brought in specifically to murder high school students. Like he has the plan, he has the idea. The thing is, like you said, all about animals, but it's really like, hey, shitheads, a bunch of kids are kicking our ass here. Yeah. Let's figure this out.
We got to get it together. Right?
And immediately, like from that, it's smash cut to a guy who has like a compassy box thing in his hand.
A bleepy thing,
Right. So it's like, my thought was, somehow they're using technology to find them.
Yes.
Somehow they're going to use this to coordinate and figure out where they are. And that is what they're doing. We'll get to what they're really doing and how this is really working in a minute. But it doesn't help because they just get annihilated. Like, this whole group of dudes, like, with these machines, like, triangulating their position and everything, just end up getting mowed down by these high school kids.
The Wolverines get them, and they take one hostage.
And this is when I wasn't really feeling for the Wolverines at this moment. When one's like, put that cigarette out on him. I'm like, wait, what?
Well, now they're like, what do you do with a hostage? This is the first time they've had a hostage situation.
Yeah.
And they need information, and they see that they've got this computerized thing, and they're like, what is this? What are you doing with this?
Right.
What's the purpose of this?
And as they're putting cigarettes out on this guy and like punching him and kicking him and stuff, I do like how the guy's like, you can't do this. There's the Geneva Convention. And Patrick Swayze goes, I never heard of it. And he just keeps kicking him.
Yeah, they do. They do just start like bullying, beating him up. I mean, it's a hostage. It's what they're doing. But then they realize that this thing is tracking somebody.
Yes.
Oh, man.
This was a bit rough. I had a hard time with this string of events.
Yeah, it did.
Because the device is tracking the mayor's son, the frizzy-haired kid who wanted to give up at the beginning. Mm-hmm. And he said that he went into town, and they're like, why'd you go into town? You could get caught. And he even looks at Patrick Swayze, and he said, I went into town because you said we couldn't be caught.
Yeah.
So I guess he said they made him swallow a tracking device. Yeah. And he even says stuff like, you don't know what they did to me. And I was like, this sounds terrible.
He had to do stuff up the butt, too, I bet.
I don't think he swallowed that. I think he just said that. But what do they decide to do?
Oh, my. Well, now he's a traitor, right?
He's a traitor.
And I think it's Swayze that kind of wants to kill him, right? Mm-hmm. They are like, we just got to take care of him. We can't just let him go.
But why can't, listen, I understand. These are high school students, except for 35-year-old Patrick Swayze. He's got the tracking device in him. Why can't they just let him go?
Because
just tell him, go that way. You go that way.
Leave us alone.
Here, we'll give you a can of beans, and we'll give you a gun. Go that way. You're on your own. You'll probably poo that out later today or tomorrow or something like that. Right. Just go. He's different. He's been with them for like 3 months, helping them with this whole thing. I can't accept the fact that they would, and this is Patrick Swayze's plan, because nobody else.
But he can't do it.
Right. We'll get into it in a second.
Swayze wants to. Swayze's like, here's what we have to do. Here's why I think, because I agree this was a little jarring, but at the same time, he is the traitor. He is the reason, like, they have been working their fucking asses off
Yes.
to try to kick these foreigners just to win. They've been scared, and they've been through more than kids their age and young gentlemen their age should be through. And this guy could fucking ruin it all with his swallowing and going into town and not telling anybody.
Right.
I would be pissed.
Oh,
now,
had
I drank some deer blood, I might be pissed to the point where I don't know what to do but kill. So, because it's nobody else. Everyone wants to. They're like, oh, we got to take care of this. He's got to go. But nobody can bring themselves to do it because he is a part of their team.
It's not even that.
And I think for a second they think maybe we'll just let him go. Then we'll just we're so mad, but we'll just kick his ass and then tell him to just go. But it's C. Thomas that's like, fuck that. I could shoot him.
But it's not even that they're like, I don't want to be the one to shoot him. Everyone else, the sad kid, Charlie Sheen, Jennifer Grey, they're standing there going, don't do that. We're not going to do this. Don't do this. Yeah. And Patrick Swayze can't bring himself to do it. I get it. And like you said, C. Thomas Howell just walks up right next to him and just shoots him. Yeah. He's like, done. And then he falls over on C. Thomas Howell, which makes it extra sad.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those things where I feel like even if you're in that situation, I don't know how you kill this guy who has, I understand what he's done, but he's helped you the whole time, and there are alternatives to just shooting him.
Yeah, but then that tells you how crazy war will make you.
Okay, and all right, NPR, Jesus. God. So from this horrible scene, they're about to blow up some trucks, but then they see some boxes fall out of the back of trucks.
Oh, that's right.
And immediately they're like, hey, Bait, Jennifer Grey, get in there. Yeah. Go run down and make sure that food's not poison.
Yeah, and she does. She makes sure the coast is clear.
Yes.
And I wondered, as she ran down, I'm like, oh, this is not going to be good. This is a ploy that they put this food here so that they could get her. And they kind of did. I'm like, you're sending her alone? What are you doing, guys?
Even after they were like, coast is clear, let's all go. I was like, oh no, they've like, she's still there as Bait, but now for the bad guys, and they're going to get them all. No, it's just a great time where they just eat
they
a bunch
just
of
have
food.
Snacks. Yeah, they get Chex cereal, they get apples and oranges, and
it's a lot of fruit and Chex. It's fruit and Chex cereal.
Yeah, I mean it's standard. I
guess.
But
it's great, and they're just hanging on these rocks in the sunlight, just eating all this stuff. They're on their horses. It looks like a Western.
No, it's nice. It's
so
a nice
great.
moment for them. Yeah, they've clearly been starving. They didn't even realize how hungry they are. They're all moaning, like eating their fruits and stuff.
But maybe it was a trap.
I know.
Because suddenly, out of nowhere, not a giant helicopter, but three giant helicopters show up, and they open fire. Jennifer Grey gets shot.
Oh.
Jennifer Grey gets shot with a round from a helicopter, and like 2 feathers pop out of her jacket. So they all get away, but they all kind of like split up. They're going in different directions. Some have horses, some don't. So some are doubled up. Jennifer Grey is on the back of Patrick Swayze's horse because it's adorable.
I know.
And this is when our hero, quote unquote, C. Thomas Howell.
Oh, when he shoots the guy out of the airplane?
Yeah, he shoots a rocket like through the window of a helicopter, and it hits like one guy.
And the guy falls out of it, and he's just kind of like, oh, that was kind of cool.
There's a lot of dummy work in this movie, like where like a plane will explode and you see like a dummy flipping through the air and stuff, which I kind of appreciated. Like it reminded me of like the A-Team a lot. So he's all excited, but he didn't blow up the helicopter. It turns around, and then he just jumps out, starts screaming Wolverines, shooting his machine gun, and he is killed.
This is where he just meets his maker.
And now it's a sad part.
Meets his maker screaming about the Wolverines.
The only character who has screamed about the Wolverines in this movie, that's his dying words, his Wolverines. Jennifer Grey is clearly dying. You know when blood's coming out of your mouth that you're going to die.
Yeah.
But Patrick Swayze like puts her underneath this tiny bush. And
to help her rest. And she's like, just shoot me. Just kill me. Just take me out of my misery. And he can't.
He can't do it.
Like, I can't do this.
Can't do it.
I can't. I can't put baby in a corner, and I can't shoot her under a bush.
But she's like, give me that grenade and pull the pin. Oh, okay. All right. Here you go.
Yeah, that he can do. He's like, all right. I mean, the grenade thing I can do. I love giving gals a grenade, but I just can't shoot them.
Yes. And she's like, just leave me with the grenade. I'll hold my finger over
and
the little
it's so
thing.
sad.
I just want to.
He brushes her hair. He holds her hair back. Oh.
They had chemistry, Jamie.
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
We may have seen that chemistry. So then he leaves her to just like, she's like, I just want to listen to the wind.
I'm just going to rest
or
here.
listen
Yeah.
to the breeze or something like that for a while. Like all the bad guys then in these helicopters, they land.
Yeah, the choppers land.
And we do see one guy go over. It's kind of horrible. He picks Jennifer Grey up by her hair.
Yeah.
He grabs her hair and pulls her body up. And then we see the grenade fall down and hear an explosion.
Yep.
The only people left, there's 4 of the 8 left. Half of them are dead, which is surprising, actually.
Yeah, it happened kind of quick. They survived
quickly.
a while, and then all of a sudden, things got bad.
So Charlie Sheen sends Leah Thompson and the sad guy off to Free America. He's like, Free America's that way. Go to Free America. And then he's like, we'll create a diversion in town, which doesn't seem to be necessary, but that's what he and Patrick Swayze are going to do. Mm-hmm. So Leah Thompson's like, no, don't do that. Come with us. And Charlie Sheen's like, us brothers, we got to stay together.
We're so brotherly, yeah.
So they go into this town, and they just start blowing stuff up. They're throwing grenades, like you said, everywhere.
Well, before that, we see that Cuban leader, that sad, lonely Cuban leader writing a letter to somebody about how lonely, yes. How lonely he is, and how times, like he's having a moment here. He's writing this sad letter.
This town is so boring.
Yeah.
There's nothing to do.
And he misses, like, being home and with his family, and the war is kind of draining him. And he's going to resign. Tomorrow morning, he's just going to go in and resign. He's over it.
Hey, it's been fun, but I think I'm done.
Yeah, I think I've had enough. Right.
I forgot about that.
But then you're right. The Swayze and Sheen go into town and just start throwing bombs and hiding on trains, right? Isn't there a train?
The train does come by. The only, like, big bad guy, like, we don't even see them kill the Jimmy Smits lookalike. Like, the only bad guy we see them kill is the really old guy.
Yeah, the one that comes in, though, with the master plan at the end.
Right. Well, no.
Yeah.
No. You're talking about the guy who gives that presentation?
Oh,
they kill him
right,
in a minute, but I'm talking about the really old Russian guy.
Oh.
Because there's a scene where Charlie Sheen has a rocket launcher or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And the old guy, like, opens the door, like, hey, what's going on in here? And it just, like, gets blown up by a giant rocket. But you're right. The guy who gave the big presentation about Wolverines and Foxes, he comes out. He shoots.
Wolverines and
Foxes.
Because
the two brothers have jumped on the train. So he shoots, and he shoots Charlie Sheen off the train. And then, while he's looking for the two of them, Patrick Swayze, like a dope, walks out with a gun and has to say something cool before he shoots this guy.
Yeah.
The guy got his back to him. But he says something cool so the guy can turn around. They shoot each other. And then we see Patrick Swayze carrying a dead Charlie Sheen.
Oh, so dead, and he's just carrying him. Oh.
And we see the guy who is resigning in the morning, taking an earlier retirement than thought.
Yeah, because he's walking out.
Yes, because he sees them.
Yeah, he's going to shoot. But then Swayze kind of looks at him like deer in the headlights with his dead brother on his shoulder. And they have this moment where they make eye contact. And now he sees, this is war. This is war. These brothers, this older brother's carrying his dead younger brother. Why? I could be back on the farm in Venezuela or Cuba or wherever I'm from with my wife and my chickens. Peaceful living. I could get back to it. And, he carries his brother, right?
Carries his brother because that guy lets him go. Carries him to a playground. where the two of them sit on a bench, and I guess, I mean, Charlie Sheen's clearly already dead, but I guess we're meant to believe that, you know, Patrick Swayze bleeds out at that point.
I don't know, Patrick. What is he whispering to him? What does he keep telling him?
I don't know. It's a bunch of mumbly nonsense. I didn't
like,
understand.
I'm not going to leave you, and I love you. Oh. And, like, it's so emotional.
Did you have your captions on? Because I was just like, you're just mumbling. Like,
he was kind of mumbling, but he was like a lot of like, you know, well, I'll be here forever.
Okay,
and,
all right.
You know, you'll hear. Oh gosh, it was so emotional. And they were going to end it just like that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying they should have, but that's what they were going to do.
Well, then we do get a little flip of like, hey, how about some Leah Thompson narration?
Yeah, it is weird because then suddenly it's daytime and Leah Thompson, the sad guy, are just like looking out like, hey, here we are in free America, man. Yeah, it's awesome. We're great. We survived. We made it.
Wolverines, they did help us.
Wolverines.
World War III. Yeah.
And you're right. Then it shows a plaque with the American flag in the background. So I guess the U.S. won the war. Talking about how, like, this rock is dedicated to, I don't know. I didn't really read the plaque, but it's the rock that they carved their names into.
Yeah, the Partition rock.
Yes. So now it is like a national monument.
Yeah.
These kids are superheroes for doing whatever. Yeah. And that's it.
For helping defend the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's...
Defend their small town.
That's a Red Dawn for you.
That's a wrap on Red Dawn. I feel like this movie really took it out of you. Okay. This movie, I don't watch movies like this because I like a lighthearted comedy. I like a little goofball fun. Okay.
I like this movie. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I felt I was taken over by it, I guess you could say, because I didn't expect. I thought it was going to be and it was a war movie,
right.
But I didn't think it was going to be this. I just didn't think I didn't think it was going to be as into it going in. I just thought Red Dawn. Oh, Patrick Swayze. It's probably about him as a soldier or something. Marnie. And
Marnie Swayze. Whatever.
Folks, I'm here to tell you. I don't think I could have watched this as a child. Like, I definitely could not have watched this in the 80s. My little fragile imagination couldn't have bared it. But present day, Jamie wating it, present day, especially with the current events of what's happening now.
That's why we're doing this, Jamie. It's so close to reality.
Wow, is all I have to say.
Wow.
Loved it. Just loved it.
Enthusiastic thumbs up. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's...
For you, friend? For you who had seen it with vague memories of it?
I would say I'm not as enthusiastic as you are. I mean, I think I'd recommend people see it because it's just crazy. Like, it's such a fun... It's hard to say it's a fun movie about teenagers getting killed, but like
But it is
it's
like
a weird
empowering.
No. Sorry, I was going to go a different direction. No, I was going to say it's a strange movie for a bunch of actors who would eventually become household names to be in at the start of their career. Like that's really what made this interesting to me. Like at every turn, I was like, wait, Jennifer Grey is in this with Patrick Swayze? What? Yeah. That's Leah Thompson? Like a year before Back to the Future? She looks 10 years younger than she does in Back to the Future. But no, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It's dumb. Like the acting isn't great. The writing is terrible. Like any conversation the characters have is pretty rough and sappy and...
But you don't need it to be anything more than that.
No, you don't. No, and that's the thing, is you can see these actors before they kind of like sort of knew what they were doing. Yeah. And so I would recommend it because of that. So 2 recommendations, definitely. Yeah.
Wolverines. We are.
Hold on, let me spray paint Wolverines on my computer screen. And done.
There we go.
So what would you recommend people watch, maybe in addition to this, like they watch this and then what do you watch after that?
I think have I talked about Glow?
I know you and I have talked about Glow.
Show?
I know we talked about Glow when we did our live thing, but that was just on the train. I don't think anybody else was around.
Okay. See, I know we have conversations, but are they recorded?
I know.
Listen? Well,
I always feel like now any conversation we have is recorded.
So Glow, even though there's not like, obviously it's about the gorgeous ladies of wrestling. There's not war, but Alison Brie, who's phenomenal in it, she was from Community. Mm-hmm. She plays one of the characters. And have you watched it? No, I think
I have not watched it.
You have not.
No.
Her wrestling character is a Russian, and she's trying to defeat the American character. The second season is really phenomenal. Mark Maron's in it, and again, it's not the war. It's not Red Dawn. It's much more lighthearted than that, but it's great, and you should watch it. It has nothing to do at all with Red Dawn.
Well, but Alison Brie playing
a Russian wrestler. You must have some sort of Russian movie that you're going to...
I don't. No. It's not like a Russian movie from the 30s or something like that. I was close to that. No, my recommendation is a movie from... I didn't do research on this. I'm doing this all from memory. I think it's from the early 90s, and it's called Toy Soldiers. And it's a movie where I think it's Sean Astin. Sean Astin is at a private boarding school, which is taken over by terrorists.
Yes, you're right. I remember this.
That is a much lighter movie than this.
Yeah.
But it's in the same vein. So if you enjoy this, if you have nostalgia for Red Dawn,
see more kids
and maybe
for
whatever reason you miss Toy Soldiers, check it out.
All right.
Next is my birthday pick.
That's coming up.
And I had some choices in mind. I had some thoughts. I had some ideas.
Sure.
But this movie we watched today, Red Dawn,
helped you.
Made it a lot easier. Because I was considering a Patrick Swayze movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch the Sways back to back.
No, you've had enough of the Sways.
I was also considering a movie where people fight with guns and shoot, and I just can't do that twice.
You can't do any more of that. All right.
So what we're gonna watch, Jamie, is
what are we doing?
One of my favorite birthday picks, other than RoboCop, because I love the movie, was a few years ago. When I chose Xanadu, just because I heard it was a crazy, stupid movie that I should see, I think at the end of that movie...
Changed your life.
I think at the end of that movie, I gave it a not recommend.
Yeah, you didn't like it.
I recommend that movie now because it has stuck with me, and I think about it way more than I should. But on that same podcast episode, your husband joined us, and he mentioned... that in 1980, there were two movies that were responsible for creating the Razzies and that won that year. One was Xanadu, and he could not think of the second one. We're going to do the second one.
Oh!
The second movie is a movie called Can't Stop the Music. And it is a quote-unquote biopic of the Village People.
Amazing.
Starring Steve Guttenberg.
The Goot. The Goot is a village person?
No, he's not. Good. But he's like the Village People story, I think, revolves around a bigger story starring Steve Guttenberg. But that something completely different from this.
Love
something totally off the wall that I could only imagine is going to be a nightmare and a hot mess. But I hope will provide a few laughs.
I think it'll be good. I think it'll be a nice turn from where we've been.
Oh, man. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for listening.
Yes, thank you always.
As Jamie says, we never say it, so thanks for listening.
Yeah.
And
we appreciate it.
Find us where we can be found. Find us on find us
in the places that we are found.
If you don't follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, do so. Because if for whatever reason you don't listen near the end of the podcast and you don't know what movie, well, wait, I guess you wouldn't be listening right now.
You wouldn't be involved in this portion.
We tease stuff on those social media outlets.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. Doug does a lot of kind of Twitter shout outs, very involved in the twits.
Hey, you got that Instagram covered. We're covering all bases.
I mean, we are doing our best. You know what I mean? We're stumbling through. I'll tell you what I'm going to blow up on Instagram. Wolverine for the next 2 weeks.
How about the epic pictures of them at the end of the movie?
Oh, yeah, when they...
That was so great. And I saw it at the end. I was like, "Oh, I wasn't expecting this."
Yeah, but their poses, they're like side poses. It looks so tough.
Yeah. Oh, so fun.
You know.
So fun.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So, watch "Can't Stop the Music." 2 weeks.
I mean,
it's my birthday. We're celebrating my birthday with the Village People.
With the Village People. What better way, right?
And why was a Village People biopic made in the 80s? You would think that's got 70s written all over it, right?
Well, I mean...
They were just waiting for Steve Guttenberg. And they were like, we gotta
wait. They
wait.
needed the Goot.
We gotta get the Goot.
Yeah.
We gotta wait for the 80s for this guy to make it. Oh, you know who else is in the movie?
Who?
Her... I'm going to say her only motion picture role, Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh,
so
look at you with the gender.
Well, I don't know. I think that's something we're going to have to decide what we do because, of course, when she was in the movie,
but she's not Caitlyn in the movie.
Was Bruce. So we'll have to sort of figure out how we're going to.
Well, how would she want it to be?
You know what? Maybe we could reach out to Caitlyn on social media and say, "Listen.
We want to know the proper etiquette.
Can't Stop the Music, and we would like to
know.
We're
talking. Like, how should we refer you then?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, she was Bruce at the time. She no longer is. I don't know. I think we'll be safe either way. I have a feeling she's not listening.
You don't know.
No, I don't know. Maybe she is. We didn't think we'd be getting tweets from... Who was Zorro the Gay Blade? George, what's his face?
Hamilton.
George Hamilton. George Hamilton's son was tweeting us all over the place after that episode. Yeah. I did not think that would happen, so who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe we could reach out to one of those billionaire Jenners and see what they're, see what they think.
What do they give us some direction?
Yeah. All right. Yeah. This has gone on for long enough.
Yeah. All right. We got to get.
We will see everybody in 2 weeks. Have fun. Bye.
Avenge me!
Since I do my notes digitally, and every time I just open old notes and I just write over top of them, sometimes funny things can happen because right after the mayor scene, the next note I have is smash cut to pajama party.
That would be amazing. If all of a sudden Annette Funicello was like, you know what we need now? It's a little pajama party, guys. Things are getting a little too intense. Don't worry, Leah Thompson. We won't put anything up your butt. We're all good here.